to do it here.
Support the refineries and
Welcome to Senate Chat, the Utah Senate's time for press availability, and for you who are watching us over the internet to send in your questions. Any question you have, we'll attempt to address it. We'll start with media questions.
Senator Hilliard, you have the awesome responsibility of getting the numbers to make sense and balance the state's checkbook. And you've indicated that tomorrow's kind of a deadline of sorts for you. The governor's indicated that his hope and dreams and wishes are pinned on $422 million for education. Is he going to see all of that?
I'm fairly confident he will.
Tell us how it breaks down, though. It's kind of intricate.
I wish I could. I cannot until I have a chance to review with my caucus. I jokingly say the governor has a really big advantage. He's won. I've got to get 15 senators to vote yes. Representative Sampay has to get 38 House members to vote yes, and then we can say what we've done. I can tell you what proposal. I don't want to tell what our proposals are until I've had a chance to share that with my caucus. As soon as I'm finished, I'll go upstairs, meet with the Democratic senators, go through that, and hear their input and suggestions and things, and then we'll make it. But current plans would be that we will exceed the governor's.
The bill of bills, what do you have a target date for that?
Next Thursday night.
Thursday night.
Well, technically,
Before.
actually, to be serious with it, we hope to get it approved today, have EAC tomorrow night, and then our staff will spend all weekend printing the bill up, so that the budget bills will be on everyone's desk Monday morning. And then Tuesday, we hope to pass them. And then we catch things we miss, we catch other new nuances and things that come in, and we do that. Usually we don't have to have an EAC, but if we do, we'll probably have it Wednesday night or Thursday morning, and then put the bill of bills together Thursday afternoon, and I love to say about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, done. So if you pass a bill that requires funding, it won't be funded.
And immediately after we adjourn, sine die.
I turn into a pumpkin, the clock strikes 12, but I leave no glass slippers.
Happens every year.
Thank you.
Other questions from the media?
Senator Okerlund, I'm interested what you had to think about what Mitt Romney said about Donald Trump today, especially about being a fraud.
You know, we're so up to our elbows in Senate business right now that the presidential race is kind of a distant thing to us. I can only say I love Mitt Romney, and I supported him as a candidate last year. Still do. I wish he was in the race this year. He isn't. I'm not surprised about the establishment's kind of resistance to an outsider running, and I don't agree with everything that Donald Trump says or does by any means, but I still think that an outsider's viewpoints on the presidential race are going to be helpful. And I'm not certainly any big influence on what happens in presidential politics by any means, but that's kind of the way I see it.
Thank you.
Senator Maine is a big Trump fan. Do you have any
I
comments?
certainly am. It's my favorite. I'm a Trumper. Yes. No, I'm not. I think that what we've seen in our nation is things that have been brewing. you've got Bernie Byrne, love Bernie Byrne over here, and then we have Trump, and they are all.
You're not pointing at me, but
No,
you're
no, no.
okay.
They're all kind of saying the same things. They're tired of it the way it is, one side to the other, and it's brewing that, which I see. They're saying, well, Bernie's better, and he's not, what the things they're saying. But I see it on the right and the left. I think that's where people are. I think they're tired of things being said correctly. I think they're tired of the same. I think, and they're speaking out on both sides of the spectrum. I don't know what will happen in the middle. I think that my opinion, I think that if Trump is the candidate, I think Hillary has a good chance to be president. I think that Romney if he's coming into the fray, I think he's late to the party, and I don't know what they will do. Their convention will satisfy whatever, but I think people are moving because this train's a-coming with Trump, and my colleagues in the other party, they're trying to bring it back to where I think the Republican Party is. I don't see Trump as the Republican Party that I see in our nation, and so it's their choice, and they'll make the choice of who they want for president. But I think all of this just feeds into Hillary. Hillary is so well experienced. There's no one else that has the experience that she does. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But I think it's an experiment. But I'm way fearful that we pull the fabric of our nation apart because how things are going. So hope we can mend everything and put it back together again and give our citizens two choices that are good choices to be president.
Any other questions?
Senator Okerlund, do you want to talk a little bit about the infrastructure bill?
Sure. It's really exciting to have that continue to move forward. We actually passed the infrastructure bill last year, which created an incentive for infrastructure in projects in the entire state, but really does an incentive for the rural part of the state where infrastructure is not in place. For a company to be able to come in and build the infrastructure that's needed, then makes it possible for other companies to be able to hook onto that infrastructure once it's built. So it's oil and gas, it's gas lines, it's transmission lines, it's power, it's roads, all of those things that are needed for a business to be able to be successful in the state. They have to be able to build those up front. Then post-production, once those things are in place, they're able to apply for tax credits once the jobs are created and the infrastructure is in place. Now the other piece of that is the refineries. And what the bill did last year was it incentivized refineries to go to Tier 3 fuel production. And once that Tier 3 fuel production is in place, and it's a very expensive process, then they're able to apply for some tax credits. What this bill did this year was incentivize even faster Tier 3 fuel production. So in 2020, you get a 50% tax credit if you're producing Tier 3 fuels. In 2021, that decreases down 2%. 5 years after 2020, in 2025, the incentive actually drops down all the way to 30%. So actually all this bill did this year was to try to speed up the refineries move to Tier 3 fuels, and that's exciting as well because it will incentivize these refineries to be able to go to Tier 3 fuels, and it's the one thing that makes a huge difference for our air quality in the state. There are a lot of other things that we've done that kind of incrementally help. They're kind of beneficial, but this is the one thing that will incentivize clean air faster in 2020 and then over the course of time. And we're being told by the refineries that once this is in place, now that it is in place, they're going to move quickly to Tier 3 fuel production.
Wouldn't the refineries have done this on their own, though?
No, they really wouldn't. Tesoro right now is moving towards it. They're the one refinery that is. The other refineries have been kind of waiting to see what we do. And Chevron is a good example. Chevron is a national firm, national corporation, and they can meet the federal requirement, the 70% requirement, without ever doing anything in Utah with their Utah refinery. Big West is another one that's saying this will incentivize us to move forward. We can start now if we can get these tax credits. Each of the refineries that we've talked to say this makes a difference for them. We will move, and we will move quicker now that this incentive is in place.
What do you see happening in the House?
We're going to hand it over to the House now, obviously, and we think that there's support there. We think that there's good support there in the House. There was last year when we created the incentive, and we're expecting the same.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but there's not a requirement in the bill, though, that the Tier 3 fuels actually be sold in Utah, is there? Isn't there a benefit to the refineries to export these to bigger markets? I guess my question is, are we incentivizing clean fuel for other cities and states?
Well, we hope so, but what we're really incentivizing is our refineries to be able to produce Tier 3 fuels. Most of the fuel that's sold out of our refineries are local or within the Intermountain region. So what we're really trying to do is incentivize something that will clean up the air here, because that's where the refineries are producing, and most of the production, most of the sales are out of the local refineries. So we hope that it cleans up the entire region. That would be an ancillary benefit, but for the most part, what it does is it will clean up here. And we think that it's going to clean up the air by about 30% total, and maybe more than that, maybe up to 40%. The benefit to our air shed here is going to be tremendous.
Low sulfur fuels will do more for cleaning up the air than anything else that we could do by far.
Yeah.
By far.
On that topic, Senator Adams, you presented yesterday in committee your Bill 246, which effectively is going to be instrumental in getting some of our energy export to market. There's been a lot of controversy arising in California by way of Senator Lonnie Hancock there. Your comments about that exchange?
Yes, specifically, I want to make sure everybody understands what we're doing. The federal government gives local counties money because when they extract oil or other minerals on federally owned ground, they allow these monies to be given to counties to mitigate that extraction. So the counties that have received these monies have spent these monies on various things. A lot of them, I think recently, splash pads and rec centers. But they've accumulated about $50 million that they would like to use for economic development to actually mitigate what they're experiencing there with the downturn in their economy. So we're using those monies. It's not sales tax money or anything else from citizens in the state of Utah. It's actually severance tax money paid to those counties by the state. So we're using those money to buy the throughput for those ports. And I surely respect what's being, I believe in federalism. I believe that states have their rights. I respect representatives and senators in other states. I hope they act respective of us. We have our rights too, and hopefully there's interstate commerce. I've read reports that they don't think these if we haul minerals, potash or coal or other stuff to that port, they're saying it won't be covered. I mean, people don't understand that you don't haul anything on a railroad in this country anymore without the EPA and everybody else regulating it. All these loads will be covered. There won't be any impact environmentally. We've had a great relationship with China. Our exports have increased 222% in the last 7 or 8 years. China is one of our biggest sources for exports. This gives us access to China and the rest of the world. It's not only a great event, but those counties could have done it on their own. We think it's better for state oversight. That's why we're involved. This will be a great opportunity not only for those counties, but for the entire state. We could ship copper out of Kennecott. It'd just to be great.
Thanks for the clarification on the community impact
Yeah.
monies there. Critics, though, on that point are saying that those monies really are meant to be used for mitigation.
It's for
Like
for splash pads.
For, well,
community
for,
center. That's what they're
for
paying.
roads,
Yeah.
for roads, and for wear and tear on counties that have to deal with the extraction business. So there are reports of some litigation kind of waiting in the wings over the use of those funds for that purpose. Do you anticipate any problem that way?
No, I think we're doing it the right way, and I think we're acting with state oversight. I think that probably alleviates any potential for litigation. And I think state oversight is better. We'll run this through GOED. They're very experienced in those type of contracts.
I'm sorry, read back. Were you told, or were the counties told that they couldn't use the CIB money directly, and this is sort of a way that, I know longer isn't a...
There were people that raised the people that raised that
Your
issue,
words, not ours.
and we're very upfront that we're taking the CIB money, putting it into the transportation money, and then using state funds. We want to make sure there's no question about it, but I think everybody believes the CIP money could have been used for that, but I believe it's also better to have state oversight. And we eliminate any conversation about that if we use state funds. And CIB monies could be used for roads, and that's what we're going to use those CIB money for. And we can surely use state funds for what we want to use them for. So that just absolutely eliminates any question on that issue.
I see your point. At the same time, I kind of wonder, isn't that also shifting the risk to state taxpayers too? That
No.
this money will never be repaid?
No, if I give you $1 and you give it to somebody else, what's your risk? It's
Well,
my dollar.
If she lends somebody $1, she's risking it not being paid back, right?
Yeah, well, the risk is that there's a great return on this asset. And this port, we had Jeff Holt, who is a former Transportation Commission chair. He works for Bank of Montreal. Bank of Montreal is probably the #1 mineral bank not in the country, but in the world. This port was found by him, and it was an opportunity. There's a lineup of people that want to be involved in the throughput for this port. Wyoming's trying to buy a port in Seattle and in Washington. They've allocated $1 billion. We're getting this for $53 million. It's a deal, and it'll be a great asset to the state. So I guess if you're worried about the risk, I'd also be excited about the potential return.
On the contracts regarding that and the deal that you're describing, what does Utah get as a result? What for all of that? What do we get back?
This will be a loan, so we have a preferred position. That means we're the first to be paid back. We have a great, I think there'll be negotiated a great rate of return, and then we also get upside beyond that. So it's a loan. We'll get preferred payback on the loan, and it actually opens up a market too. I mean, not only is it a loan, but it's the economic development potential of this. We were in China. I've had 2 trips to China. China is, well, I think was our biggest exporter in 2015, and in 2016, I think we're second. But they want to trade with us, but we can't get our product there. And to be able to have an access to the rest of the world, I mean, California's experienced a coastal economy forever. And they've been able to have some of the biggest ports and the economic development that come from those ports and access to the world. This is a great opportunity for Utah.
Well, and I'm not trying to be argumentative here, but
That's fine.
however, the world economy, I mean, coal's really been declining, and it's not an environmental issue or anything like that. It's climate change and the idea that there's going to be a tax on coal at some point. Should Utah get in the business of using its money, whether it's the county's money or not, in playing in that investment world where it seems like it's contracting? Can Utah really change the tide on climate change and coal.
So there's about 100 answers to that, which are yes, and so let me just give you 4 or 5 of them. First of all, Utah has the cleanest coal on the planet, period. They use that coal to blend. It's in high demand, we just can't get it out. So then coal is, I think, as you look at it, around the world, coal is still the #1 use for energy, at least energy production. Germany just approved multiple coal plants. They're building more coal plants. And then the other issue that I think people are bypassing is that we have potash, salt, hay. I mean, people are focused on coal, but it's like coal's the only product we sell to the rest of the world. Kennecott is one of our #1 exporters, and they do copper, gold, and other minerals. And so coal is high demand because Utah has clean coal. Other minerals can be used and shipped. We have resources that we need to be able to move to other spots in the world. So I don't see a downside.
This point, I guess, was raised yesterday in committee hearing, and I don't know what your answer was to it, because I wasn't there, so I'll ask it again. But
I'm sure it was a good answer.
I'm sure you knocked it out of the park. But you talked about the return on the investment on this, and you know what a great opportunity is. Why not? Why aren't private banks lining up to get on board?
Oh, they are.
Why does-
They are.
why
That's
does
a,
the state have to
there's
fill that role?
the port is worth $200 million. We're only funding a quarter of it.
Yeah.
There are private investors that want in. We've just beat them to the punch. If you, I'd give you Jeff Holt's number. You're willing to talk to him, but there's a list of private investors that are mad that we're ahead of them.
So they don't need the state money, and it sounds
No,
like.
the idea is that we control the throughput. So we get to decide what goes through it, and that is the issue. So if the private investor has it, they'll send what they want through it. We want Utah to control what goes through it, so we help Utah's businesses. We don't need to buy it. You can truck stuff to California.
There's a revenue stream from that.
Yeah, but if we control the throughput, we can help the industries that need it. And that is the key here, is the throughput. And you know, there's plenty of investors that would like to have done this, and they're tell you, we'll give you a list of those that are frustrated that we beat them to the punch. But it's a great opportunity for the state of Utah. And again, if you can, these counties, should we have built a rec center, or should we build a splash pad? Go look at the CIB, what they've been spending their money on. And this is if they can bring economic development to those counties that have twice the unemployment rate as the Wasatch Front, that are struggling, and we're seeing California try to shut down our coal industry by not buying our power. We're allowing them to have transmission lines from their wind farms in Wyoming come through our state, and we ought to have the right to be able to get our minerals out of our state into the rest of the world.
I'd argue that we don't allow that. That's interstate commerce, and they can't get in the way of that. So I question whether that's even legal.
So is that another lawsuit?
Potential.
Yes.
So is that something that's built into the plan for this money?
You know, every project has to have its feasibility, and we put this together. We'll evaluate the feasibility of it. We'll hope it comes about. If it doesn't, we'll pass on the opportunity. But, or if there's a reason to pursue it, we will. But again, if you don't pursue the opportunity, you're not going to have it. Or you walk away from it, you're going to lose it. And if you don't pursue it, the opportunity's gone. So we'll give you more updates as we know.
What could be imported through this port? Radioactive waste?
I haven't looked at that. Oh, yeah.
No, seriously, that's been a proposal, is to ship radioactive waste.
I think
to
somebody's got a great rumor out there, but I would hope that if we could maybe import silk from China. I don't know. I mean, that'd be a great thing, wouldn't it? Radioactive waste sounds like a...
Could be anything.
Yeah, I guess.
So that's a no?
I doubt it. Yeah, nobody's talking about that. That's...
On that point, don't you have to have the Longshoremen's Union on your side here? And they've already said that they want to emphasize high-value cargo. going through the expansion that you're talking about funding. So that would not necessarily mean, alfalfa and coal. It would mean container type shipping, which we could be posed to do as well here in Utah. Is that a concern to you? Because those guys pretty much control what comes in and out of the ports.
Well, that's what we're trying to do, is control the throughput. And being an investor, we're able to control and help them.
Have you had any discussions with the union?
Not yet, but I assume that'll be forthcoming. Great opportunity.
Great discussion.
So,
Any questions from our viewers?
We do have one that came in. Does anyone want to comment on HB 183 changes to county sales tax for rates and transit?
Is that, Johnny Anderson's bill?
which one is it?
HB 183.
HB 183. Looks like Jack Draxler is the sponsor.
Oh, we just passed that out. What that bill does is allows a different formula on the bill that we passed last year, giving counties of a third, fourth, and fifth class a different formula for them to pass, which would focus more on roads rather than they didn't focus on transit before, but it just changes that formula a little bit different. And for counties of the third and fourth class that have some different needs, it's a good bill.
Yeah.
Senator Okerlund?
Yeah, that's it. Instead of focusing so much on transit, it allows them to do other things with it.
Yeah.
More flexibility.
Great question. Thanks for sending it in. All right. If there's no other questions, we'll see everyone tomorrow. And thanks for watching us. Hope to see everybody tomorrow for another version of Senate Chat.
Thank you.
I used to be Midwest correspondent.